Cheat Code, Support Strategist, by Clouds. My Head in the Clouds, Not Coming Down, on AO3. Chapter 75. Awkward. Hitoshi grumbled as he dragged himself into the living room and face planted onto the couch. After he had come home from the mall yesterday, it had taken less than 5 minutes to shower, put on some comfy pajamas, and collapse into bed from emotional and physical exhaustion. He'd gotten up only once, and that was because Aizawa had shaken him awake and forcefully shoved a plate of fried rice in his face. Beyond that, he had been dead to the world, and honestly, he kinda wished he still was. Mike looked from his laptop and grimaced when he saw Hitoshi come in. "I'm guessing you're not actually feeling any better. I'll get back to you on that after I finish dying of mortification." Hitoshi lifted his head and looked at Mike pridelessly. "I called Aizawa Dad." Mike's face lit up. "Yeah, you did." Hitoshi's pout deepened. "And I told Ochako I like her." Mike's eyes widened, and he hurriedly shoved his laptop onto the copy table so he could give Hitoshi his full attention. "What did she say?" "Nothing," Hitoshi whined. "The fire alarms went off pretty much immediately after that, and we had to jump straight into a villain attack." "Oof," Mike winced. "That's... wow." Hitoshi flopped over so that he was on his side. "Yeah, and to make it worse, we were playing around with my quirk and I pretty much forced her to tell me she has a crush on me." Mike froze. "What?" "It was an accident," Hitoshi groaned. "I know what you're thinking. I feel like a villain for doing it too, but like I said, we were just playing around with my quirk and I asked her what I thought was a totally innocent question about Mina, but apparently Mina knows about her crush and it just came tumbling out. And I didn't think I'd ever be able to get her to answer." "Oh, Hitoshi." Mike came and sat on the couch beside him, cradling his finger through Hitoshi's hair and letting him put his head on his lap. "Quirk accidents suck." Hitoshi nodded and rubbed his eyes. "Sorry, I was hoping I'd feel better after sleeping, but..." "Yesterday was a lot," Mike pointed out. "It's okay to feel a little overwhelmed." Hitoshi sighed. "Where's Aizawa?" "He had another meeting with Nezu," Mike said. "Their one yesterday got interrupted." "Oh, right," Hitoshi said numbly. "What's going to happen to Todoroki?" "We're not sure yet," Mike said. "On the one hand, he's dangerous to have around, but on the other, knowing who the traitor is can give us a huge advantage if we use that knowledge against the League. Honestly, we were hoping to get Cheat Code's opinion on this. So, well, your dad's gonna be home soon. So why don't you invite your friends over? We can bring them up to date on Todoroki's situation, and we could test the waters with Uraraka and see how she's feeling about the whole thing. How does that sound?" Hitoshi's face scrunched up. "Do I have to?" Mike shrugged. "No." "Ugh," Hitoshi groaned. "Fine, but if this goes south, I'm volunteering to be a test subject for one of May's explosions." Izuku bit his lip as he looked through the security footage again. "Mei-chan, you didn't see anyone fitting Chopper's description at the mall, did you?" "What description, Izuku?" Mei asked. "Nobody's ever seen him." "Well, yeah, but his quirk," Izuku tried. "Wasn't used during the attack," Mei finished. "The police and the heroes are looking for him too, you know. You don't have to find him all by yourself." "I know," Izuku frowned. "But if I'd just noticed Shigaraki earlier or pushed Nezu to let the students fight..." "Izuku-kun, this isn't healthy," Mei sighed. "You helped keep people safe. You don't have anything to make up for." "But..." "No buts." Mei slammed his computer closed. "Did you eat breakfast?" Izuku blinked. Mei rolled her eyes. "If you can't remember, then we're going to assume it's a no. Come on, let's go get a snack. I promise I'll try not to explode your kitchen. Izuku swallowed, and let May dragged him by the arm into the kitchen. He supposed breakfast wasn't a terrible idea. Ochako was nervous. It had only been a day since their class's normal trip to the mall had gone completely south, and that meant that the last 24 hours had been a whirlwind of police interviews, reassuring her parents, teleporting away from the media. In the end, her anxiety basically came down to the fact that she hadn't talked to Hitoshi since the attack, which was understandable considering that he hadn't been doing that well with his adults when he had arrived to shuffle them off. But she still felt weird because maybe the fact that she accidentally confessed she liked him and he confessed back wasn't that important considering an actual villain attack had happened less than a minute later. But it still kind of felt like something they should address eventually. Maybe she was just making a big deal out of it and it didn't matter at all. She groaned and flopped back into bed. Her bags for the training camp were half packed on the floor by her closet, but she didn't feel like doing that right now. Honestly, she didn't feel like doing a lot right now. How was she supposed to focus on anything with literally everything else that was going on? Their class had just gotten attacked by villains, and their crush was ghosting her. Even if he had an incredibly valid reason to do so, it was still ridiculously stressful. Why did this have to be her life? Her phone vibrated beside her head, and Ochako groaned and rolled over to see May calling her. Hey, May-chan, what's up? Hitoshi's adults invited us to lunch, May said. Are you coming? Ochako shut up. What? Am I invited? I think so, May replied absently. Pretty sure President Mike said he texted you, too. Ochako scrolled through her text and groaned. Yep, I was just so busy being Okay, yeah, I'll text him back and say I'm coming. It's in, 10 minutes. Great, wonderful. Well, it's not like you have to worry about driving time, May laughed. Ochako looked down at her comfy pajamas, with holes in the knees. Yeah, that's not what I'm worried about. Izuku was trapped in some kind of surreal situation. On the one hand, this was just Hitoshi's house, and he knew logically that Hitoshi's parents were just normal people. Sure, there were pro-heroes, but he had talked to pro-heroes all the time at school, and it was no big deal. On the other hand, he was in Eraserhead and President's Mike living room, and they were offering him cookies. His inner fanboy was dying right now. Ochako said she was coming, right? Hitoshi asked under his breath. I really hope I didn't scare her off. How would you scare her off? May asked, grabbing a cookie. She's used to me and Izuku, so I'm pretty sure she's got nerves of steel at this point. Hitoshi blushed. He didn't say anything as Mike and Aizawa sent him sympathetic looks. Izuku frowned and grabbed a cookie. He'd figure out what was going on when Ochako got here. Speaking of Ochako, she popped into existence less than a minute later, by the side of the couch. Hi, guys, sorry I'm late. Hitoshi's face lit up briefly before he cleared his throat and looked away. Hey, glad you could make it. Perfect, Mike grinned. Everyone's here. Lunch is already ready, so let's eat. There was still an odd tension as they followed him into the kitchen. But then again, they had just been through a huge villain attack yesterday, so that might just be normal. The dishes at the table were all mismatched, like most of them had been bought as gag gifts at the thrift store at some point. But Izuku supposed that Eraserhead and President Mike were kind of mismatched too, and they somehow made it work. So it was fitting that their house was the same. So are you feeling any better, Shigdig? Ochako asked as they sat down. I was kind of worried about you. You know, that whole thing at the mall. Yeah, sorry. Hitoshi grimaced. I didn't mean to fall off the face of the earth, but I came home and basically just crashed into bed. I'd already been a really long day before we even got to the mall. That's actually why we invited you kids over. Aizawa cut in. You're all in on our few school secrets already, not to mention that You're Hitoshi's friend, so it's only logical for us to inform you. Especially you, Midoriya, since you're so skilled in analysis. Izuku and Mei exchanged a confused look, and Izuku caught Ochako looking at Hitoshi with rapid curiosity until he sighed. There's a traitor in Class 1A, and I figured out who it is. Tomura was pissed. He was supposed to be the league's leader. How had an attack, a major attack, happened without his approval? Not only that, but without him even knowing about it. Kirogiri had given some bullshit answer about their fearsome reputation, and made the whole thing sound like it was Tomura's fault in the first place. How was he supposed to know he was going to get spotted? He didn't even know when he was going to be there in the first place. If this was anybody's fault, it was that good-for-nothing spies for not informing them of 1A's location. But no, as soon as word got out that the League had been spotted by the heroes, they were simply following the lead. It was ridiculous. If he was really the League's leader, he wouldn't be under All for One's thumb right now. He would be free to do what he liked and actually make something of himself rather than obsess over destroying society and Sensei's name. He wasn't the leader of the League, though. Not really. He was just some kid that All for One had picked up in the side of the road one day and decided would make a perfect puppet. And to make it worse, he didn't even have a main role anymore. He was constantly getting pushed to the sidelines by everyone and wasn't even the main character anymore. No, he was just some side character that everyone had apparently decided didn't have enough strength of character to win the game, but couldn't get rid of him because their face was on the box. He hated the way the rest of the League was treating him, and he hated that they were right. A few days ago, he would have argued that at least he still had his stream and Icy Cat, but there was no way Todoroki would ever talk to him again. Why would he want to, when from his perspective, Tomura had just betrayed him and then lied about it? Maybe if he hadn't assured Todoroki that there wasn't an attack, then they'd be able to get through it. Considering that he and Todoroki had some sort of silent understanding that he was a villain and attacking heroes was just what villains did. But that wasn't what happened. No, he just had to open his big mouth and let Todoroki think everything was going to be fine before stabbing him in the back. He hadn't been surprised when Todoroki had put out a message on their socials saying that he was going out of town for a bit, and he would miss the next few streams. Sure, he could have just been talking about the training camp, but at the same time, he hadn't said when he'd be back, or even if he was coming back at all. And the worst part was that Tomura couldn't blame him. He wouldn't want to come back either. Izuku's frown got deeper and deeper as he listened to Hitoshi describe Todoroki's odd friendship with Shigaraki. I'm sorry, but that makes absolutely zero sense. I mean, it kind of does, Ochako said. Kirigiri knew how my quirk worked, so he was obviously given inside information from someone. Hitoshi shrugged. I can show you some of the streams. It's definitely them, and I'm sure you saw them together in the security footage. Well, yeah, but it just seems like he was trying to de-escalate because he wasn't allowed to use his quirk, Mei argued. Why in the world would he start gaming with a villain anyways? That simple answer is teenage rebellion, Aizawa sighed. He has a good reason to hate his father, and quite honestly, if he'd tried to piss off his dad, this would be a great way to do it. No, I got that. It's just... Izuku groaned. Ugh, it doesn't make any sense for him to be the traitor. Or at least, not the only one. Mike blinked, and Aizawa heavily sighed. Do I even want to know what you're getting at? Well, Mei, you know how I couldn't find any evidence of Trapper during the attack? Yeah? Mei's eyes widened. You think... Izuku nodded. Every other member of the League was there, but Trapper didn't even show his face. Why? Because he'd be recognized. You think Trapper's one of our students? Mike asked. Well, I mean, if it's Todoroki, then everything comes back full circle. But the quirks don't match up, Izuku said. Todoroki has ice and fire, but the evidence Trapper has left behind points some sort of almost synthetic moss. Which doesn't fit any of our other classmates' quirks either, Uraraka huffed. So, now what? Well, just because it doesn't match our class doesn't mean it doesn't match someone they know, Hitoshi said. A parent, sibling, uncle, anyone they trust enough to tell about their day, pretty much. Could be potential information leak. Or they could be intentionally doing something to hide their quirk, May said. There are tons of inventions that could change things, chemical reactions, all sort of options, if you're desperate to hide who you are. So, we've got a lead, but it's thin, Aizawa said. So, what if looking into the families doesn't work out? Well, then we've got a plan B, Izuku smiled. If all else fails, we already know one of the traitors. If we play our cards right, he'll lead us straight to Trapper, without even knowing we're onto him. This better not lead to a trauma boys friend breakup, a friend dump, or whatever the friendship breakups are called. I call them friend breakups. I see some other people call them friend dumps. I want to know what you guys call them down in the description. I call them friend breakups. I love my trauma boys. This better not be happening. I'm gonna cry if that happens. I really hope that it is just a little misunderstanding between Shigaraki and Todoroki and... Well, I mean, like, I don't think it's gonna lead to that because actually Todoroki saw the surprised look on Shigaraki's face. Like, Todoroki was, like, a bit, hurt. And it was like, hold up. Shigaraki looks just as surprised. He didn't know this was gonna happen. So it's kind of like a, ooh, okay, interesting. Interesting, So I really hope that this doesn't, like, have them, not, like, I just want my little cute trauma bonding boys, alright? As for, Izuku and all them trying to figure out who the traitor is, God, it is not Todoroki, god damn it, I'm gonna, I'm going insane. But this was a very interesting chapter. It did not escalate the way I thought it was gonna go. So it was all this build-up and then it just paused. Which is a really good way to build suspense because now you're just... It's like the point in a roller coaster when you're going all the way up, all the way up, all the way up, all the way up, and then all of a sudden it just goes level again. And you're no longer going up, you're just level, and you're waiting for that drop. And all of a sudden you're just waiting, you're waiting, and then it drops, kind of thing. That's suspense. Same thing with that one other roller coaster when it goes up, 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 and then you get all the way to the top, and then it stands there for a little bit. You're not going up anymore. There's no escalation. Everything is just neutral, but all that intenseness is still being built up because you are like, okay, when is it gonna happen? When because in the past with all that build up, you can, like even I said in last chapter, I thought that this was going to be the drop. I thought this chapter was going to be the drop. So when it turns out that we're going level again, okay, now I don't know where the drop is, and I'm petrified. It's a really good way to build suspense. I see some authors use it, others don't. Some people just do the build up, then immediate drop, which not saying that that's a bad thing to do or horribly written. I think that works perfectly great as well, but this is another strategy, another technique to build up suspense like that. But yeah, I can't wait to see the next chapter. And I will say there will be 2 new series being posted today. Series, that's not a word. Series? I don't know. What is the plural for series? Somebody in the comments, please correct me. Series. I'm going to be calling them series till somebody corrects me. But there will be 2 new series. That is so funny. Which would be the one that's going to take place for Welcome to Your Hero Academia, and then the one that's going to be at 2 p.m. PST. So, literally 2 hours. So, have fun with that. And as always, my raindrops, make sure to eat, sleep, drink water, take your meds. Have a wonderful day or night. Link to my socials and Discord server are down in the description. Subscribe to see more of my content. And thank you so much for watching.